Okay, Councillor, you're good to go.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Bromford and Hodge Ward Forum meeting of Monday, the 18th of December, 2023. Just to advise residents and participants that this meeting will be recorded and that a copy of the meeting will be available for future record by the Council's YouTube channel. We're going to start off today's meeting. We have representatives of the Billy Chip charity who are going to talk to us about initiatives around street begging, which has been a particular problem around the Fox and Goose shopping centre, the Tesco superstore, and areas surrounding there, which has caused ongoing issues with antisocial behaviour, drug use, etc. So we welcome and thank you for attending to everyone who's come along from Billy Chip today, and we look forward to hearing what your initiatives about the street begging. I did invite Tesco's, a representative from Tesco's, but I don't believe nobody has replied to me, so we'll see what we can do anyway. So if you'd like to, who will be presenting today? Is it
me, John?
John. Okay, thank you, John. Yeah, feel free to start whenever you're ready.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for attending today. So the purpose really was just to give you an overview of the Billy Chip that was launched in 2020 as a safe way to support people sleeping rough and homeless people. As I guess we've seen, certainly after the pandemic, we've seen a drive from both banks and retail to try to progress forward with contactless payment. It's meant that people sleeping rough, people on the streets and people begging have found it increasingly more challenging to get support through street donations, whether that be because people no longer carry cash, or whether that's because they have cash and some of the retail outlets that they want to use to get provisions from no longer take cash, makes it a real challenge. Back in 2018, Billy came up with the concept of a token system and a business system around that token system, which meant that coffee shops, cafes, takeaways, and convenience stores could sell a token, which is called the Billy Chip, which looks a bit like a poker chip. And on the other side of it, it's got a QR code, which is a store locator. That token can be purchased for £2 from, as I say, retail outlets. That token can then be kept in your pocket and given over to someone on the street who's asking for some support. You can give them that as an alternative to cash. That token can then be redeemed by them in currently over 500 different outlets across the UK for the minimum of a hot or cold takeaway drink. Some outlets also provide food, and outlets like some of the co-ops in the UK, there's about 270 co-ops in the UK that take Billy Chip. They will redeem one for a hot or cold drink utilising their Costa Express machines, or they would accept 2 Billy Chips and redemption for a meal deal, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but basically it's a sandwich, a drink, and a packet of crisps or some kind of snack. Now, most of the supermarkets in the UK and other big retailers like Poundland and Boots also do meal deals. So what we're trying to do is increase awareness of the Billy Chip and also increase the number of outlets where they can be used. We've just signed up 100 Jolly's pet food stores as well across the UK, where homeless people can redeem Billy Chips for pet food, potentially inoculations for their dogs, treatments, and also things like dog toys, blankets, etc. I guess really with the conversations that we've been having with Chris and Jordan around introducing the Billy Chip to more outlets in Birmingham is based around a lot of the feedback we've had from the police, from BIDS teams, business improvement districts, and also councils in other areas where we operate the Billy Chip. And one of the key things that we've had feedback from retail is it's reduced nuisance begging outside of stores. It's reduced antisocial behaviour towards and abusive behaviour towards staff members. It's also reduced shoplifting because it's built a better relationship and a better community between those involved. And also from the police, even the Somerset police have said that they've noticed a migration of street gangs and organised criminal activity around street begging move out of the areas where it was predominantly operating due to the use of Billy Chip. And the reason, I'll expand on that, the reason for this is because unfortunately there's a lot of people that are on the streets begging for cash because they need cash, whether or not that's to feed a habit or whether or not that's because they're under pressure from gangs, organised gangs, or if they're trafficked people, they want cash. And that's the reason why they're operating. Because the Billy Chip eliminates cash from that support mechanism, it means that those people operating in those areas can no longer get what they need, so they move to a different area. Billy Chip's history is about supporting homeless people. It's not about trying to control, what people do, or about trying to dissuade the public from giving cash to homeless people. That was never our founder, who was Billy. It was never his intention, but that seems to be a byproduct of what we've found over the last 4 years of operating Billy Chip. I think one of the key things is lots of people would like to be able to donate directly to somebody on the street, but they have legitimate concerns about handing over cash. Billy Chip eliminates that concern. It means that what that person is going to be able to receive is something that's going to be beneficial towards their health and their well-being, as opposed to being used to feed a habit or because they are being exploited by a gang, or they're not genuinely homeless and they're just using this as a means to get money. Billy was my son. He came up with the idea and tragically got killed in a motorbike accident out in Thailand in 2018 at the age of 20, before the Billy Chip was launched. So we, his family, Jack, his friend, we put Billy Chip together as, I guess, a legacy for Billy. We launched it in 2020. Unfortunately, we launched it just before the pandemic, so that halted our rollout, and it also, I guess, focused the sign-ups and the amount of people that were going to get involved in it when we initially launched, because we had Asda on board, we had Marks and Spencer's on board, and all of the co-ops, Manchester co-ops as well. But when the pandemic struck, they obviously refocused their priorities. So we're back now trying to build it up. Like I said, we've got about 500 outlets in the UK. And we've had pretty strong assurances from Greggs that operate it in 9 of their stores in Bristol as a trial. We've had pretty strong assurances from them that in 2024 they will be rolling it out as an option for all their branches, should they wish to get involved. And the positive feedback that Greggs have had, I'm sure that a lot more Greggs will be doing it. The reason for the delay in them rolling it out is they are going through a national upgrade of their hardware and software for their electronic till system. So we've had to wait for all those procedures to be put in place, because believe it or not, Greg's actually operate it as like a manual system at the moment, and because of the amount of work that sits behind it manually, that's why they've only done it in Bristol. But we've invested extensively into a software system that manages all the accounting process for it. And I'll just really quickly just tell you about how it operates it from a business level point of view. Someone who signs up on our website as a business for a free Billy Chip account gets sent out this starter pack. Includes a Windows sticker that goes in the business's doorway, so anyone knows that they can go in there and buy Billy Chips, but more importantly, it gives some safety and some security to rough sleepers and homeless people, that they know they're going to be able to redeem their Billy Chip in there. They're going to get a warm welcome. They're not going to face rejection. And that helps build their confidence a little bit in terms of them being able to feel safe and secure about using their Billy Chip, which is something is really important that we learned from other schemes like paying it forward, and what the negative parts of paying it forward schemes were. So we've overcome all of those different challenges. They also get sent some point of sale material to go in their business. They get sent a pack of 25 Billy Chips, all free of charge. At the end of the month, they go into their app and they record how many chips they've sold and how many chips they've redeemed. We get all the £2 back. We invoice them basically for every Billy Chip that they've sold. So they're not out of pocket. There's no investment for them. We then charge them for the Billy Chips that they've sold. Any Billy Chips that they redeem, they also record. That can all be done through their till system. And for every Billy Chip they redeem, we credit their invoice with £1, which covers the cost of the takeaway drink that they've given. Or if they're taking multiple chips for higher ticket value items like a meal deal, that covers the cost for the supermarket of the meal deal. That's all negotiable depending on the size of the business, the number of stores that they're going to operate in. But pretty much everyone works on selling them for £2 and getting a £1 credit redemption. So the business, if it was, let's say we had Costa Coffee join up, whatever hot or cold takeaway drink they give away for a Billy Chip, they will still make a profit from that £1 that we give them. It might not be quite as big a profit as they would normally make, but if we look at the numbers of people that are using Billy Chip and the numbers of redemptions from some of our highest turnover outlets like Co-op and Greg's, they're still going to make money. And on average per store, they're only redeeming 1.2 Billy Chips a day. So it's not as if they've got hundreds of homeless people queuing up outside their premises, but it's just about being able to get the message, the business model, and an understanding of the benefits over to the retail outlets. And that's one of the things where councils, bids and police forces have been very helpful, I guess, in getting some connections with businesses to see the impact that Billy Chip actually delivers. And Jack's heading up a big piece of work that's being done by Swansea University to look at the impact of Billy Chip, the impact it has on also like on things like the NHS, where by supporting street homeless people, giving them access to, you know, a better opportunity and better options on food, increasing the amount of support they get, and also the amount of just sort of contact they have, and how that impacts their mental health as well, is something that's currently being undertaken. So unless anyone's got any questions for Jack or myself, that's the Billy Chip, I guess, in a nutshell. And everybody's on mute as well. I can't hear anything. Everybody's got their microphones muted, unfortunately.
Sorry, I was on mute. Okay.
There you are.
Thank you. Thank you, John, and thank you, Jack. Yeah, it's a wonderful legacy for your son, Billy, for this initiative, and I hope it's something we can see take off in Bromford and Hodge. I think it would make a big difference to the street begging around the area, because it would take away, I think, mainly because around the Fox and Goose, people are so generous, but it's cash, it's all cash, but it's not going to be used for food. The majority of it goes to feed habits. So this would be something welcome, and I would really like to see Tesco's take this on board. A question I've got is it only used for food and drink?
Currently, it is only used for food and drink. We work quite closely with the YMCA as well. They're quite a big supporter of us, and there are potential opportunities in the future that we might be able to look at accommodation. But from everyone that offers accommodation, it's certainly in our local area, none of them charge. The only places that charge are if you're on like a program, and if you sign up to a program of support, they charge for that, but you get a sponsor. I don't know what it's like in the Birmingham area, but certainly in London and in Bristol, there was a big, or there it seems to be less now, but there certainly was a big number of people that were street homeless that were asking for sort of 14 or 15 pounds to get themselves into a hostel. That was a big thing about 4 or 5 years ago. 5 years ago, and one of the things that Billy discussed was whether or not this token could be used for safe, secure accommodation overnight. But since we've done more research into it and looked more into it, there are very, very few places that do actually charge, and it was a bit of a scam to get easy money out of people. But it could work very easily in pretty much any field. You know, we could do it for accommodation. Like I said, we've just gone into pet food now. We'd be interested in doing a partnership with people like Boots and Superdrug, where there's potential that there could be both a male and female a toiletry pack or sanitary pack, something like that. It's something that we're very aware for women that are experiencing homelessness. Access to those type of products is very difficult. But yeah, the Billy Chip, realistically, the model and the way in which Billy Chip works, we can pretty much use it, or it could be adopted by anyone that could provide some support that needed some financial backing. We were very interested early doors at speaking to, but it did fall on deaf ears, I don't mind saying, when it came to the chairman of Sports Direct, that they could potentially do sleeping bags, although Suella Braverman weren't keen on it. They could do sleeping bags, they could do gloves, scarves, things like that. They could have a section where there were some specific items that they would be able to get for redeeming Billy Chips. And we've also spoken, we're a really small team at the moment, and we're always looking for funding to be able to expand what we're doing. But we just don't have the resources really ourselves to maximize all the opportunities. So we're growing Billy Chip in a very organic way. However, there are plenty of opportunities that exist to be able to support people through the Billy Chip. We've even been approached by the Education Authority and local authorities as well about using Billy Chip in connection with warm places, spaces, and also free school meal vouchers, because the Marcus Rashford thing that was very prominent in the media has come to an end. And it's being subsidised in a lot of places by local education authorities just through supermarket vouchers, which are open to abuse. And sadly, a lot of the people that are receiving those vouchers, it's recognised by the school that the children aren't actually getting access to healthy food through that. It's being used for other things because the supermarkets have no control over those vouchers. So there's plenty of things we're looking at with Billy Chip, and plenty of different opportunities we can go into. Yeah.
Thank you, John. For example, if Tesco's came on board, I mean, they sell the scarves, gloves, hat, that type of thing. Would that be something they'd be able to purchase from there using the chips? If it was, could they have recognised certain goods that they were allowed to buy?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's down to the retailer and how much that retailer wants to offer. Yeah, we have varying degrees of, I guess, sort of generosity or support from different retailers. Some of our outlets will basically provide a hot or cold takeaway drink, and that's it. Some of our retailers will provide a can of Coke and a bag of chips, you know, a sausage roll, or this, that, and the other. And also the homeless community get to understand in a city quite quickly where you get your best bang for your buck. So if there's like a cake shop or a sandwich shop, that at the end of the day they'll say, oh, if you give us a Billy Chip, you can have, you know, anything because it's all going out of date. They learn pretty quickly and they share quite quickly where, you know, the best opportunities are. But that's really down to the retailer. What we do is we provide a mechanism for a safe, secure street currency for people to be able to use and people to be able to donate to support rough sleepers.
Thank you. I've got a message in the chat from Jo. She did ask the question about ladies' toiletries and sanitary items, but you've answered that, obviously. And she said, thanks for an encouraging and motivating presentation. Love this Billy Chip idea. Charities will definitely share on Facebook. Yeah, and I think it's something that we can get off the ground in Hodge. There is a big demand for it. I'm disappointed that we haven't had some local residents who live in the Tesco area, because they could have let you know some of the issues that we have in the area, but they haven't turned up today, unfortunately. So I'll just, we've got other residents here who might like to ask questions. Excuse me. Are there any questions or comments of the residents would like to make? No. Okay. Thank you, Jo, for your comments and questions. And thank you, John. Jack, is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, not necessarily. I think there's a councillor here with his hand up.
Ah, sorry, yeah, Councillor Majid Mahmood. Yeah, I'll pass over to Majid, then I'll come back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you to the guests for their presentation. I mean, I'm all for the Billy Chip. I think if it was used widely across the supermarkets in the country and takeaways, it would actually help to support those people who are in need of our support as well. I think it's really important. But we need to differentiate between those that need support and those who are basically cheating the system as well. We do have concerns in not just in and around the Tesco area, Fox and Goose, but on the streets of our ward, where it's actually quite dangerous for people to be walking up and down whilst the traffic lights are changing and asking for money. But I think that's why we really needed Tesco here today. If Tesco were here and they could take their conversation to their head office, I mean, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of Tesco stores across the country, and I'm assuming a lot of them have this where people are looking for support from the general public. And I think this is the best way, because people in and around Tesco and around our ward are very, very generous in the sense that they always want to help people who do need help. But again, Billy Chip would be, I think it would be fantastic if we could get this operating. And if you're happy, Chair, I'm happy to draft a letter to Tesco to suggest this for them, both based at the Tesco in Alston and perhaps nationally. I can speak to deputy leader who's has the portfolio for the cost of living crisis in the city, and I think this is something that would support that. So thank you for coming along and sharing with us around the village chip, and we'll try to have that conversation with both Tesco and with the owners of the Fox and Goose, because they have the same mission, obviously with the city council as well, to see if I can take this, escalate it up to the deputy leader to see if she can look into it as well with officers. So thank you.
Brilliant.
Okay,
Yeah, and
thank you.
that's absolutely the thing we need. We need the opportunity to be able to speak to the decision makers in those retail organisations, because everyone that we have had that conversation with, like Greg's, Co-op, and Jolly's, that are all nationwide businesses, they've all seen nothing but positive from it, and they've all jumped on board. It's just trying to get the right people around the table to have that conversation with. Yeah,
Tesco's have been difficult to engage with of late regarding anything. So yeah, but we'll persevere and get a letter out to them and to the head office, so maybe we can get something from there. Thank you.
Yeah. And if you want us to come up to a meeting to actually have a face-to-face with them, that's certainly something that we'd be happy to do.
Yeah, we'd welcome that. So you can better explain how it works, the intricacies of the behind the scenes. Obviously, we don't know how that works, but yeah, that would be most welcome.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Before I hand over to Jordan, Jack, is there anything that you wanted to add?
No, just to sort of go off the back of what we've just discussed. Obviously, we set this up on a very local level, and it's only really been this year that we've managed to be able to expand across the UK. So Co-op, the sort of way we signed up Co-op, we had a really successful social media campaign that went out this time last Christmas, that was sort of based around the work that we're doing with Greg's, and that's how we got Co-op on board. And obviously, once we got Co-op on board, it's really good to use that data to then go to people like Jolly's, for example, and other of those sort of larger chains. But any support that can come from local councils, politicians, things like that, it just helps sort of bolster what we're doing. And you guys have a lot more sort of data and a lot more reasons why this would be beneficial in this area. So yeah, it's something I think that is definitely sort of achievable, getting Tesco's to operate Billy Chip, certainly on a sort of localized level. But it'll be a lot easier, of course, if we work in partnership, with these letters. And also, if any of you guys are ever, passing the store, just take 5 minutes to go in and just, go to customer service and ask if they sell Billy Chips. Because I can sit in this office and send dozens of emails, but customer feedback is the key thing really for these retailers. So yeah, if you guys ever find yourself passing, just take that 5 minutes and go in, because that store manager will have like a quarterly meeting with the area manager. No doubt they'll be asked, is there anything that sort of come across your desk that we should look at? And when they're sort of scrambling around trying to think of something to mention in the meeting, that thing will end up being Billy Chip. So I think it's just important to sort of keep proactive as possible. Whether that's sort of emails, letters, face-to-face, whatever you guys can sort of donate your time to.
Brilliant, thank you. And if you've got any information, infographics or anything that you can share with us, I'll drop my email in the chat, and you can send it along.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'll move over to Jordan now. Had his hand up. I don't know if you wanted to come in.
Yes, thanks, Councillor.
Yeah.
Basically, Jack, you've just said what I was about to say. There's really a lack of understanding, I would say, between local residents and the needs of the street community at times, because that sometimes we believe we're being generous, offering them money and such and so forth, but these things can be quite dangerous for them. And I was ignorant to this, before I came into community safety. You always assume that let's give them money, let's try and help and support in that way. So if we are able to educate residents in any way more consistently about how to support the street community safely, because I feel like there's a real lack of knowledge on that. And if there are any educational pieces that we can try and get out to residents, whether that's through this medium, or I'm not sure what the best way to go about that would be, because they really do need to know. And as you said, they can push it to superstores like Tesco's, and they can make their own stance against.
As councils, we've got platforms where we can push the information out. And the more people know about it, the better. So yeah, any information, send it to us, and we'll happily distribute it. Jordan, can I just interrupt a moment and get Chris to come in, because he needs to leave shortly. So if there's anything he would like to add before he leaves, he could jump in now.
Thanks, Diane. Thank you, Councillor Mahmood. Just to add, really, that this is part of the bigger plan around Fox and Goose. What Jordan's doing, obviously, is identifying and working with the street community, but I know that there are other things going on, as you know, with Brockhurst. So we are having a number of meetings. I know that we are working with housing as well to try and look at Brockhurst primarily. There's other stuff going on, councillors, as you know, but I think this whole concept, this whole initiative, can really put a real positive spin on the Fox and Goose as a location and a stepping stone to other shopping precincts in and around the city. If it's done if it's welcomed in a way from Tesco's, and obviously Tesco's are far and wide, as are Greggs. So I think the initiative, I'm precious about this, as I'm sure the councillors are, as I'm sure Jordan is, and Daniel, because I just think that it fits the footprint of the Fox and Goose at the moment, and it's a positive way to engage and get the public to engage and get them a greater knowledge around what we're doing, not necessarily just about enforcement, because we know that enforcement isn't always working. So I'm absolutely applauding this scheme and trying to push it as best as we can. So thank you to John, and thank you to Jack again.
No worries.
Thank you, Chris.
You're absolutely right, Chris. You know, it's about there's the physical things that the Billy Chip gives access to, which are really great. But the other thing that sits around the concept of the Billy Chip is it creates better community. It creates an opportunity for people to safely engage with rough sleepers and homeless people. It creates the opportunity for the right help to go to the right people as well. And it also has been proven that it creates a better, you've only got to go on the Billy Chip website, and there's a short film on there, which is about 2.5 minutes long, which Billy's sister, Megan, goes out onto the streets in Bristol. And one of the real things that gets me every time is the guy that she's interviewing, who is homeless. He says, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do drugs. That's not his thing. But everyone gets sort of tired with the same brush. And one of the really impactful bits that comes out of that engagement and that experience that is on the film is he says, it's demeaning and it's degrading asking people, strangers, for help and support. But if somebody comes up to you and gifts you this token, it's a massive game changer. We're talking about people's mental health here as well. We're talking about their well-being and how they feel in society, and trying to give a positive spin on the gifting side of things rather than the begging. And last week there was this clip on social media, which was Bristol street pastors, and it's a soundbite that was on BBC Radio about the Billy Chip. And the guy receives it, says, "Oh, thank you. I am so grateful to you for this. This is amazing. I love these things. These things are more valuable than money because of the community and the connection that sits behind it." And I think that's a really important thing, which quite often nowadays gets overlooked. Everybody's just involved in their phone, and the homeless people are the people that, you know, the genuine homeless people are the people that feel most isolated, the most hidden, the most unseen. And if we start to, what I've noticed in Bristol is by starting to engage and starting to create a better level of communication, it improves their outlook and it improves their behavior. And that's what Greg's have said. I don't want to steal the show, but I just want to share this with you as well, because I just think it's really important. The manager of one of the Greg's stores in Bristol had a security guard, an independent security guard that she used to have to pay £15,000 a year for from Cllr to act in their store as a deterrent through shoplifting and abuse towards shop staff. She went back to head office and asked if she could get rid of that £15,000 overhead, because the relationship they had now with the street homeless people that were using the store had completely flipped on its head. And they'd gone from going in there and being rude and abusive and stealing stuff to saying, you are the only people that are genuinely trying to help through this Billy Chip scheme. So those are the stories I want to be able to tell to Tesco's. But if they won't sit around the table, it's a bit difficult.
Yeah, they need to get around the table and listen to these stories, because they're amazing. Thank you, John. Yeah, and I think it can make a big difference in Hodge Hill if this was to come to the Fox and Goose. Chris, you're free to go now if you want.
Thank you all, and thanks again, John. Thanks again,
You're
Jack.
welcome.
No
Daniel,
worries,
I hope you are inspired by this as I keep continuing to be, and really I do hope we can actually get some buy-in from Tesco's and Greg's at the same time. That would be a fabulous thing. Thank you all, and thanks
Yeah,
to
thank
councillors
you.
as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank
Cheers,
you
Chris.
all your hard work, and happy Christmas.
Yes, you too. Happy Christmas to all.
Yeah,
Thank
cheers.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Jordan, for being patient. If you'd like to, sorry for interrupting you earlier, but can you come back now and finish what you were saying?
Yeah, just to repeat what's been said. I'm glad everyone's as excited as we were first hearing about Billy Chip, and it just affects communities on so many different levels. As John's been saying, it's just so many different positives, and that's all we're hearing at the moment. It's just continuous positive, effects. Like you said, the interaction is positive. It doesn't feel like you're being, the street community won't feel like they're being dismissed almost, by handing cash. It's more of a donation with a purpose, as I like to call it. It's there's nothing but positive things. So the next stages are clear, really, aren't they? We just need to get these stores on board and get in these rooms. Yeah.
I can't see why they're not engaging, because it's such a positive idea and it benefits their customers, because as Joe has pointed out, some of the customers, and I've pointed out this to Tesco's as well, they are losing trade because customers do feel uncomfortable, because the begging is now becoming aggressive, to say the least. And the cash is not going to them. Not some of them do have the cash, but there is an element of organised crime there. So that cash, they don't see it for one reason and another. So having the Billy Chip would be a massive game changer.
Yeah, I mean, I to sort of give Tesco sort of every sort of reasonable doubt. It is obviously, an incredibly busy time for them this time of the year in retail. And maybe it's just a sort of wrong time of the year to sort of be approaching them and saying, we want to roll out this new currency within your store. So yeah, fingers crossed, by the new year, their sort of workload will be reduced heavily, I can imagine. And hopefully, that'll be the time where they have that sort of half an hour free in their week where they can, that they can meet with us to discuss Billy Chip. And yeah, like John said, you know, we're more than happy to sort of come up and have that meeting face to face, you know, bring a starter pack, you know, things like that. Because from our perspective, I mean, you know, it is really just the sort of red tape, the corporate red tape we've got to get through to have businesses operate Billy Chip. You know, we could sign up 500 Tesco's this evening and get all the starter packs mailed out to be there by the end of the week. We've got everything in place to be able to roll this out with, you know, any store that we see fit. It's just, you know, obviously getting the clearance from head office their side. So yeah, fingers crossed the new year be the right time to do it. And yeah, they can't then sort of turn around and say, oh, you know, we've got Christmas coming up, or we've got this and that. You know, there's not a lot else to do in January. So yeah, fingers crossed.
I think the thing is, yeah, like Jack said, is it's bad timing, because they are very much focused in retail around the Christmas period, but also it's about finding the right person, the decision maker within Tesco's. And also the biggest thing we, as an organization, I guess the biggest thing we struggle with is we are seen as a homeless charity, and that to most people just means, you know, they want money and they want to support a very challenging and difficult sector of society. So let's not get involved in that. But if we can get them to understand exactly what we do, exactly how we operate, and all of the positives that have come from like-minded retailers that they can speak to, then I'm sure Tesco's will do it. Because honestly, there's pretty much no reason why you wouldn't at least give it a go.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a no-brainer, and it really benefits them. And I'm sure their takings will go up, because a lot more people will be less reluctant to use the store going forward. So, yeah. Well, thank you.
And they'll see that change as well. They'll see that shift in the community of street beggars, because in our experience, the ones that are abusive, the ones that are an annoyance, and the ones that are threatening are the ones that are feeding a habit. They're not the genuine street homeless people. And if those people, and it doesn't take very long, you know, it's only a few months, they get fed up with going out there and getting given blue bloody tokens instead of money. And they'll go, because it's pointless. It's not what they're there for. So
absolutely,
fingers crossed, 2024.
Yeah, they can start off in the new year when things are quieter in the retail industry, and have the we haven't approached Greg's as yet, but that's, you know, because we didn't know how it worked. But now we've got a better understanding of it, we can approach Greg's and possibly other retailers and try and get them on board. But, you know, Tesco's would be a good one to have, because I know they've got other stores around the ring road that have the same issue. So I can't see why they shouldn't do it. But
yeah, and most of them have Costa Express machines as well, which we've already got data on that's working with Co-op. And most of them offer, even if it's a Tesco Express, they offer a meal deal selection, so they can provide those provisions that most of the public are keen to support. That's the key thing, you know, the public are keen to support people being warm, fed and watered. Beyond those, the general public's generosity,
and the dogs as well. They're very
the
dogs. A lot of the residents are very generous towards street beggars who have dogs. They like.
And I think one of the other things that retailers might have some reluctance to get it out there, all warts and all, is it being abused. We have sold and redeemed thousands and thousands of Billy Chips, and we have had one issue in London with one store, with one person that they deemed to be a non-genuine homeless person who was using the Billy Chip in order to get a cheap drink.
Okay.
out of all the thousands of Billy Chips we've sold and redeemed, we've had one issue of that, and it's a very simple issue that gets resolved. And it was just about staff training, and the staff training was to reiterate to the person that was redeeming the chip that they didn't think was homeless was, do you know that this is a scheme only for homeless people? And she never came back in again. So
thank you. Right, well, thank you for your presentation, and I'll just ask Daniel if you want to come in on if there's anything that you would like to add, or if you've got any questions around this scheme. And would you see this as being beneficial for the Hodge area and the issues that we have in the area?
Yeah, definitely. Sergeant Keynes is on the meet at the moment, so that's why I'm here. As you say, the Fox and Goose, you've got the big Tesco there, you've got a Greggs there, and then I'd probably say the Clock Garage as well, where you've got the Subway. They're probably like the two main areas, I'd say, where the homeless people or the street community will beg, and then obviously you've got the traffic lights around the area. But they're the two main issues. And like you say, some of them will beg to fund a habit. You know, they've got vulnerabilities themselves, and that needs to be addressed in another way. So by doing the Billy Chip, we know where that chip is going, and we know that they're getting either a hot drink or some food. And someone said about the community being really generous around here. I know that when I'm engaging with the street community, the amount of people that are dropping money in their cup or their hat really surprises me. People are really generous around here, and I was really shocked at how much people actually do give money to the street community. So I think it would be something really good around here. But yeah, I fully support it, and I'll mention it to Sergeant Keynes. And obviously, if we can help anywhere, then Councillor just let us know, and hopefully we can do some helping out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, John, and
sorry, he's just got he's just taking a phone call, but he can hear you, don't worry.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, we'll do, and I've added Subway to the list as well, because that's another retailer where we have issues at a petrol station that's a bit further down the road from Tesco's. But I think what happens when the police move them on from one site, they go to another site, but then they come back to Tesco's, because Tesco's they've got a certain amount of shelter there, and there's a lot of high footfall, and they're very generous. Our residents are very generous. It might need a lot of Billy Chips to supply to them. So yeah, with that, we'll move on in the new year, and that would be our number one priority, and try and get that off the ground. So thank you for coming along today, and we really appreciate it.
No,
I don't
that's
think
there's
any more questions before John and Jack leave. Any more comments before?
The only thing I was going to say was we've had an awful lot of success and support from BIDS. I don't know if you have any relationships with the BIDS team that work in that area, or even if that particular area does have a BID team.
It doesn't have at the moment.
Okay.
Something we'll look into. Okay.
Yeah, and the only thing I was going to say, just going off what you were saying there, Daniel, is that if you are putting together a letter, you know, from council, perhaps if that could also be signed off by perhaps your sergeant or even yourself, just to say, you know, the police are keen on it. Yeah, it just goes that sort of extra way to sort of say, you know, there's a lot of community groups that are coming together to try and help the homeless community, you know, through Billy Chip. And yeah, I think the more signatures we can get on the bottom of that letter, the better. And yeah, like you said, councillor, you know, there is no reason why they shouldn't be doing Billy Chip. You know, no reason to try it. You know, certainly, you know, for whatever reason it doesn't work, so be it. But we know it will work, and we know that there's, you know, very, very little sort of negatives associated with running the scheme. So yeah, anyone you think could sort of sign off on that letter that would be beneficial, then yeah, please do invite them.
And yeah, I don't know who has mentioned the £15, the accommodation. That does happen quite a lot in the city centre, because I do get approached when I'm walking down New Street, but then I'll just refer them to Streetwise, and then they don't ask for anything further.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm aware, none of the hostels in Birmingham make a charge. I don't think there is a charge, so it's a scam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if they do start charging, we know what currency they can use.
Absolutely. Okay.
Take care, guys. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you
Thank you for your
Ben.
time and have a great
Okay.
Christmas.
And you have a wonderful Christmas, and thank
Cheers,
you.
guys. Speak soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. All right. Is there anything further that anybody would like to mention on Village Chip, or we can move on? Jordan, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'll just say maybe I'll send you an email and we can follow up with what the next steps that we'll possibly be taking going forward, yourselves and Councillor Majid as well. So I'll send you an email after this. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you. While we're on the subject of issues around Tesco's, there's an issue in Brockhurst Road, but it's not street begging related or anything. But Daniel, you may be aware of a car that's been abandoned, that's been in an accident. I just had an email earlier today about it hasn't been removed and it's been there for a few days. So is there any action we could take to?
Yeah, I'll after this meeting, I'll go around to the register keeper's address again. It's literally just around the corner. I'll link with them again and get them to shift it ASAP. When I last spoke to them about 2 weeks ago, they said they're just waiting for the insurance to collect it. But I can't see the insurance taking this long. They're normally pretty swift at collecting them to assess the damage. So I'll make another visit and then I'll get back to you where we're at. With it being so close to the pavement, it's quite hard for us to take it away. But I'll link in with Sergeant Keynes, and if it's not shifted in the next couple of days, hopefully we can try and take some action.
Okay, thank you. Much appreciated. Well, Councillor Mahmood.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just on the street begging issue, is do the police not take action against the individuals who are asking for money at traffic lights? It happens quite often in the morning during peak time hours on Bromford Lane at the Tesco quadrant with Fox and Goose, and also at the bottom of Bromford Lane when it comes onto the junction with Bromford Road. Sorry, Bromford Lane. Yeah, Bromford Lane and Bromford Road. It's very dangerous, and I'm just really worried that there's an accident waiting to happen. They shouldn't be allowed to be walking through it because the traffic lights change and the cars start moving, and I'm just fearful that there might be an accident at some point. I do think the police, they need to have a conversation with individuals who are putting themselves at risk in doing that. The last thing we want to see is an injury sustained or a road traffic accident because of that. And secondly, are Tesco working with the police in terms of trying to challenge the behaviour of some of the people who are asking for money? Because I've had reports from a few individuals, I think it was at a previous ward forum as well, it was at the residents meeting, where individuals saying that they can be quite aggressive as well to individuals who are walking to and from the Tesco shopping. Just wondering if there is any joint at working with Tesco, and if not, perhaps that's something the police should be doing in trying to tackle the issue that's arisen. Thank you.
Thank you, Majid.
So yeah, the issues with the traffic lights, obviously under the Vagrancy Act, it is an offence for them to be at the traffic lights. I know when myself and the other team, well, the other members of my team pull up, quite often they'll run away from us. They don't engage with us. When we do have a chat with them, obviously we try and let them know, or we do let them know that they can't be here, and it's causing nuisance to not only us, but obviously the other road users and members of the public. We'll always try and obtain names and details of them, I can't obviously speak for other police officers that come across them. Obviously, I know our response colleagues, especially around the bottom of Bromford Road, by the Fort Way. I know police use that route quite a bit to get over to our custody block in Perry Bar from the Stetchford side. I personally haven't seen them there for a while, but I do know that like you say, that junction down Bromford Road and Lane and the Fox and Goose crossroads, I know they're the two main issues that we have for the traffic lights, and it is really off-putting for the road users, especially late at night. In particular, young vulnerable girls in their own vehicles alone. I know it can be really off-putting. In terms of Tesco's, we recently took down a tent from there. It was about maybe 5-6 weeks ago. I know the street community, there's two particular, I think there are a couple, they kind of pitch up a little tent and use the trolleys to kind of barricade themselves in and use it as a little bit of a shelter. We took that down, and Tesco said that they were going to get rid of the red light sheets and tarpaulin and stuff, and they said they were going to get rid of it. I'm really disappointed that they never. And then the street community came back and put up the same tent that we dismantled. So that was really disappointing from our point of view. We're trying to get hold of the manager and link in with them, but it's becoming really hard for us to get hold of anyone and get some relationship going. Whether it be the festive period, I don't know. But I know that is kind of like one of our main issues about especially the aggressive begging at that Tesco, with it being the high footfall that it is. And I think it is there's a male and female there. I think they're the two main issues that we have. I'd like to say every other person that kind of sits there I'd like to think it's fairly okay. As I say, it's just this male and female that are causing us the nuisance. So we are trying to get a grip of it and build some relationship with Tesco to stop the issue going forward.
Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, anything further on the street begging? No. Okay, so we can move off this item now and move on to local news and updates from councillors. Councillor Mahmood, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Just to encourage all residents to participate in the non-statutory consultation for the budget. It's out there in the public domain now, so if people can log in and just follow the survey through, it asks about priorities and how we should be allocating the money, which departments should take more priority than others. It's the people's budget. It's down to the people to let us know what they want. And secondly, we've had quite a bit of tree planting in and around the ward as well. I think tomorrow there's some tree planting outside the shops as well on Bromford Drive as well. So just encourage everyone. It's quite self-satisfying when you're planting a tree and then watching it grow. We did this years ago at the green space just off Old Bromford Lane, and the trees are still there. We've had a nice big tree planted in Hodge Common as well, so you'll have a few more in on the green space outside the shops. And if you remember, Chair, we planted all those trees with the Environment Agency as well.
Yes, yeah.
For North Park as well, literally hundreds we did there, and they're all coming to fruition. Just encourage everyone to get involved and start taking care of the green that we have in our ward. There's also some legislation going through Parliament on right to grow as well, where there should be some legislation coming through which will place a duty on the councils to provide spaces for residents to grow fruit and vegetables outside of your normal allotment spaces that we provide. And that'll be good as well in identifying spaces in and around the ward. And finally, just Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. I know it's been very challenging this year, I would love to say that it'll be less challenging next year, but it doesn't look that way with the cost of living crisis and the budget deficit that we have in the council. But thank you to everyone what they're doing, especially to Jill. She's not in the meeting today, but a special shout out to Jill O'Hare in the Bromford. She's been absolutely fantastic this year and previous years, and she's helped make sure Bromford and Hodge is one of the cleanest wards in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd just like to mention the Mobile Household Recycling Centre. We had one on the 15th on Monday, and that was very, very well attended. Unfortunately, it's the last one for this year, but I've just had the dates in for next year, and the next one will be on the 10th of January on Shoresdale Road, 7 a.m. till 12:30 a.m. And we've got further dates for another date for 2 dates in January, 2 dates in February, and 2 dates in March, which will be circulating leaflets around the ward, and also they will be on display. The dates will be on display in Tesco's and other local shops, but it's always on our page. So yes, thank you once again. Just to advise you that the advice surgery will be at Tesco Superstore this Thursday at 6 p.m. That will be the last one for this year, and the next one will be in the new year on Bromford Drive. Right, well, just to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and all the best for 2004. We have a provisional date for a meeting, but nothing has been confirmed yet for Monday the 15th of January, but we'll circulate, it will be on Teams, and we'll circulate details once it's been confirmed. Big shout out to Beverly for facilitating these meetings, and yeah, a good happy Christmas to Beverly, and we look forward to seeing you all in the new year. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, Joe has a hand up. Sorry, Joe, I didn't see that. Did you want to add something? Can't hear you. You're on mute. Ah, okay. She's typing. Okay. Yeah, it'll be on Shoresdale Road, opposite the health centre, and that's on the 10th of January. Okay, right, well, thank you, everyone. It's wherever they can park on the day, Joe. When they arrive in the morning, they give a location, but sometimes they have to move. It's wherever they can find parking on the day. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Daniel, and thank you to all the residents. And we'll see you in the new year. Merry Christmas. Bye.